the heck? This is like pure ice on the ground here. Oh, great. I think I literally have to slide down this thing. It's actually super windy today. It's adding to the cold. Well, one of my last few days to test out the glasses too. I think for the most part I pretty much have a conclusion of it and all that, just based on all my tests, general feedback, etc. So if you have any general questions or curiosity on what I should try with it, now's the time, because I'll be giving it back just in a few days. I actually thought I had to ship it up myself at first, but they said they'll have a courier pick it up or something like that, so I get to spend at least like another day or so with it. This was kind of an interesting read today about like phones and stuff like that. How about this one? There's one called like an Energizer smartphone. And when you think of Energizer, you think things like batteries, right? Well, I guess that's what you're gonna think of when you see this. Like so many articles here, they talk about this battery that's so huge on this phone where the phone's the size of literally probably 3 regular sized phones based on the picture. And according to this article, it says, look at the size of this ridiculously large phone that's almost all battery and lasts 50 days on standby. And Veneer Telecom is licensing the Energizer brand to sell a phone with a huge battery pack that's nearly 7 times larger than the battery in the iPhone XS. As consumers complain about battery life, this might be one solution, though it weighs a lot. Yeah, you think? Would anyone actually legitimately buy this? I think for me, I'd rather buy a phone and a large battery pack or power pack that I can use for like everything else as well if it came down to this. That's too big. And this was kind of a cool read about the drones, because as we all know, a lot of the consumer ones rely on things like GPS to keep the balance while at the same time using it to return to home and everything like that. But how about this? Why this drone is learning to fly itself home using vision alone. If GPS fails or can't be trusted, researchers have been testing a navigational safety net using cameras and AI. There's a drone just north of Toronto that can fly on its own. No human pilot required. It was built by researchers at the University of Toronto Institute at the Aerospace Studies, who have been perfecting the technology for the past few years. But they have an even more ambitious goal: to create a self-flying vehicle that can find its way home based solely on what its camera can see in the event that it can no longer locate itself using GPS. What might be easy for some humans is not so easy for a self-flying drone. The promise is that the autonomous drones might use to conduct detailed surveillance, provide temporary connectivity and communication, ferry passengers, or even replace labor-intensive jobs such as window washing and building maintenance. So I guess with a little bit more technical details on how it potentially works, it says if the vehicle loses GPS connectivity when flying on its own, it attempts to return home by following the path it was previously taught. In order to orient itself, the drone compares the visual input of the cameras to what it saw before, the same way a person might look for a familiar storefront to guide them out of a sprawling shopping mall. That's really cool. I know for the return to home and stuff, I usually rarely, if ever, use it. I think the only time I've ever used it just to test it out to see if it works, like precision landing and all that stuff. Just from seeing like all the nightmares like on the videos, like when I first started, people doing return to home or going return to home automatically, like it would just smash into a building or something like that, I guess for things like GPS error. And the other thing I was quickly following was just that photo show, because even though it didn't start yet, it will be in a few days. Usually there's always some kind of leak that gets out there or information. And I guess this is an example of why it's good to wait, because apparently there was a new 360 camera that was announced. Like this one's probably going to be way out of the budget, but it's just an example of if you went with that, then oh my god, something new is coming out already. It's not much details, but this one here is called the Ricoh Theta Z1 360 camera. And apparently the big thing about this is it has 2 1-inch sensors on it, and it's supposed to be, I guess, a first for those type of cameras. It's way out of the price range in general, so it's not going to be feasible overall at this point. As well, I'm just worried about things like the workflow when it comes to stuff like this. Just with the editing as well. Can you imagine the memory you have to store every single day recording stuff like this? Well, thinking about it, a 360 camera that's decent in virtually every way is actually the best for me, like walking around and stuff, just because I go to so many places. Because since that captures virtually everything, that I can imagine just dumping somewhere like in a backpack or something like that and just keep walking, like it doesn't basically distract in the day. But yeah, again, it's just about things about the workflow and all that, and of course the cost. This thing I'm guessing is gonna be like $1,000 US or something like that. I found it just funny that I was saying again, if I have to carry this thing that's so inconvenient, I think I might as well like shoot 8K. And you can see like there's some 8K cameras, like this sharp one apparently, like not much details. But still, I don't think it's like so much smaller and stuff too. Oh, I guess just a few more days so we can try to figure out which one we should get, right? I can't believe I saw footprints out there when I was doing like the aerial shots. Man, who's crazy enough to walk there right now, especially in this condition? Alright, see you guys later.